Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. Another great article here from Business Wire. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So I just wanted to briefly, in the beginning of this video, update you guys on the total amount that T-Mobile is going to sell of the senior notes, and it's $3.5 billion. Like I said, it's usually around the $2 to $3 billion. Looks like it's a bit higher now, but the rates must be very attractive for T-Mobile to continue to do this. This is not the first time they do this, and this won't be the last time. But something else that I wanted to talk about in this video, and the title of the video will be This Could Turn Ugly Very Fast. So T-Mobile is known, and their legacy base, has been, by perception, used to T-Mobile being the cheaper carrier, the value carrier, and giving away stuff for free, taxes and fees included. I mean, we've heard it all from T-Mobile in all of the Un-carrier moves that they've done. But now T-Mobile is in a very different space, and I want to kind of take you guys along for that ride of the changes that are about to come. I've heard some stuff. I've been hearing stuff behind the scenes, and it's going to happen relatively quick, right? It's not just necessarily about the AI and everything else. That's going to happen regardless of what happens. The AI and everything else that T-Mobile is transitioning to on the digital side is going to happen whether we like it or not. But T-Mobile is getting ready to transition into something that many are not ready for. And it's fine, right? From challenger to champion. For those of you who remember that saying at some of the conferences recently or not too long ago. And T-Mobile is seeing themselves as just that, the champions. So now we have to brace for that impact, right? What is that going to look like? And some of this is me speculating, right? So like when I say in 12 to 18 months, or maybe a little bit longer, I could see T-Mobile being the most expensive carrier across the board, right? Starting with the lowest plan, the middle plan, and the highest plan. Now, some of you might say that's crazy or crazy talk, but it's bound to happen. That's what T-Mobile is transitioning into. They're transitioning into the most premium carrier out of them all. That's what they're transitioning into. There's no way they're going to continue to keep talking. They went from challenger to champion. They have the best 5G network, this, the best that, and not follow up with more monetization, right? You see that they're increasing price now. They increased price last year by the highest dollar amount, $5. And this year, they increased price again at the highest dollar amount in the industry. Verizon nor AT&T touched $5 per line. T-Mobile did it. And they're the quote-unquote value player, right? So as I've said before, value doesn't necessarily have to come from price. I think some of you have come to realize that now. But I think T-Mobile is transitioning something that many are not going to like. I'm talking about having a very, very, very corporate-like CEO, the suit and tie, right? Type of CEO, the one that only cares about numbers type of deal, right? Mike Sievert had to transition into something that people didn't like, but he hasn't gone to the extent yet that this next CEO will go into. And I'm not saying that it's confirmed that Sievert is leaving or anything like that, but I'm saying there's going to be a transition period. Whether it's this year, next year, whenever that is, there's going to be a transition where T-Mobile has a new CEO. And what T-Mobile is growing into, that CEO is going to have to be far more aggressive than anything that John and Mike Sievert did, right? These little bit of price increases that you guys have endured recently, that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? So Mike Sievert is still what I'd consider easygoing. In terms of that, right? In terms of that, I'm talking about transitioning into no more taxes and fees, no more free lines, all of that type of transition. That hasn't happened yet. So I know a lot of you have said that T-Mobile is no longer really the Un-carrier, and they're transitioning slowly into that, the carrier, right? But they haven't gone all the way yet. And that's, I feel in my gut, I feel that's still to come. Taxes and fees, back on plans. No more free lines, right? Eventually, they're going to start charging for all the free lines. If you want to leave, you can leave. And that's how T-Mobile is going to start the same process as what Verizon did, right? Verizon kind of took that approach a couple of years back where you're going to pay us what we charge. And if you don't want to pay, you can go to MVNO, you can go wherever you please, right? Same with T-Mobile. I think T-Mobile is very, very close to that transition as well, where if they have to churn closer to 1% a quarter until they can get all of the people, that are on free lines, get rid of all of that, I think they will do that. And a new CEO, a new face of the company, I think will really take that approach. I really, truly have a feeling in my gut that that's what's going to happen. Do we really need that? Do we really want that? Of course not. But T-Mobile is now, like they said, they went from challenger to champion. So the network is getting more expensive to operate, and they have to further fund the rural build out. So they're gonna do some stuff in the coming months that's not gonna be liked at all. So just brace for that impact. It's coming. I can feel it. I can see it from a mile away. It's coming. Trust me on that. Especially once you close the US Cellular deal, once you integrate that, you now have an even bigger network. You're still natively building out sites on an annual basis. You still have to densify the network within your top markets, right, where you have the highest share. So, and eventually, if they get into fiber, they have to spend more CapEx. That's going to require a higher CapEx. Once they get into fiber, owning and operating, and I know that's far-fetched. I know that's likely still a ways away, but that is what's really going to spark another round of higher CapEx, is when they go into fiber, and they will. Trust me on that. They will go into fiber, owning and operating it. They have to, because if you have your two competitors that are mostly, or a large chunk of their network is owned and operated, you have to follow that. At some point, you're going to have to get into the higher backhaul scenarios where you're going to have to pay a third party a lot of OpEx. And eventually, there's going to be no hiding it. Right now, you can still say there's synergies, you're offsetting this, you're doing that. But at some point, that's just no longer going to work. So you're going to have to go into the owning and operating at some point. You're going to have to create that team. You're going to have to learn it, right? You're going to have to get a couple people that know it, that have the expertise, and then they just train and teach everybody else. But at some point, T-Mobile is going to get into owning and operating, and that's when you will see the $14, $15, $16 billion CapEx a year. Right now, it's not necessary. I know people don't want to hear that, but the $9 to $10 billion is plenty for their pure wireless network today. It's plenty. We can see it. Look how much they're expanding. There was a graph I saw the other day where it showed within the year's time frame of how much T-Mobile expanded the network. It was impressive. So I'm always thinking ahead. I'm thinking, okay, the next 12 months, if they can replicate that in other parts of the country where they lack coverage, I mean, they're going to be a big network within the next 18 to 24 months. That network natively is going to be huge. And I know there's Starlink and all this other stuff, but the native build, if they continue at that pace, it's going to be massive, 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 massive. So someone's got to pay for it. We all know that. The consumer, as T-Mobile's trying to get financially stronger and fix margins and fix ARPU and everything else, the consumer is gonna pay that. All right. So eventually, as I stated, T-Mobile is going to try and offset. They're going to look at, okay, we did all we can do. We did all these cuts. We did all this refinancing. We cut all these employees. But now, in order to grow this, grow that, we have to push it off onto the consumer. And I think that's what's going to happen over the next few years, more aggressively as each year goes by. And I don't even want to say that. I mean, nobody besides T-Mobile did $5 per line. Keep that in mind. $5 per line. That's an excessive amount. The highest price increase out of any carrier in the industry. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.